Hey guys, how's it going? This is episode 2 of Solo's daily stock market videos. And as always, we're going to take a look at Palantir stock because you guys seem to really enjoy these Palantir videos. So like we always do, we'll take a look at how the market did overall. We'll look at Palantir, how it traded today on Robinhood. I'm going to show you 2 new articles on Palantir that just came out. One is bullish, one is bearish. So we're going to have to decide what we like and what we agree with. We'll do updated technical analysis. It looks like, if you saw my video from yesterday, I said I was kind of 50-50 depending on what Palantir was going to do today. So Palantir did pick a direction. So we're going to have to do some updated TA to see what does our TA show. Are we bearish or bullish? And then we'll end the video looking at the option flow data. There were a lot of option sweeps that came out on Palantir today. So let's get right into it. Looking at the heat map here, you can see kind of a mixed bag today. Overall, seems like a red day. There's some green sprinkled in there, especially in the healthcare sector, but big tech stocks were pretty much red. Semis were red except for Intel. Intel had a big day today, up almost 5%. Tesla was pretty much flat. The banks were kind of red or flat, although Visa and MasterCard was up, but PayPal was down. But that's not what you're here for. Let's get right into it. Let's look at Palantir on Robinhood. So here's how Palantir traded today. We were looking pretty good pre-market. We're actually up 0.5% pre-market. We spiked within the first 5 minutes of market opening, up 1.4%, but then we sold off hard. Within the first 45 minutes of the market being open, we were now all of a sudden down 4.3%, but Palantir was able to rebound to being down only 0.5% within about the next half an hour. However, for the rest of the day, we just slowly melted away. We closed the day down 3.8%. We're pretty much flat after hours, a little bit of a spike here. So we're up 0.2% after hours. But overall, another red day on Palantir. If you saw my video yesterday, you know Palantir had a red day yesterday as well. On the week, Palantir is down almost 15% on the week. On the month, Palantir is also down over 13%. And on the past 3 months, though, if you're a long time holder of Palantir, you're doing still pretty good. You're still up 147%. So let's take a look at the news articles that I saw. Do you want to do good news first or bad news? I always like to look at the bad news first. That way we can end on a high note. So let's look at the bearish article first. So here's an article from Benzinga that I found on Yahoo Finance. And this article is specifically talking about Palantir. But I will say this article is a very good educational article on unusual options activity. It does a great job explaining it. So I'm going to read some parts of the article because I think some of our viewers don't understand what option flow is or what unusual options activity means. So this article actually does a great job explaining it if you want to read it on your own time. But this article is explaining, and I'll show you at the end of the video, that today Palantir had some bearish unusual options activity. So for an example, you can see that today the overall sentiment was bearish. The open interest was over 3,000. The volume was 416, meaning 416 of these contracts were traded. And the strike price was $27. And they were basically 2 weeks out for expiration, January 15th of 2021. And the important thing is that they were puts. So that means that there were 416 put options that expire in 2 weeks for the $27 strike price that were traded today alone. And I really like this article because it explains what unusual options activity means. And it says, one way options market activity can be considered unusual is when the volume is exceptionally higher than its historical average. And like I said, the volume of the options activity is the number of contracts traded over a given time period. So usually this number is going to reset every day if you look into your brokerage. And the number of contracts that have been traded but not yet closed by either counterparty is called open interest. Okay, that's the difference between volume and open interest. If you don't understand this quite yet, stay tuned because I'm in the process of putting together a complete tutorial on options trading. I'm going to assume that everybody is a complete beginner and start from scratch, and then we'll work our way up. So I'm obviously going to talk about open interest and volume. So make sure you subscribe so you make sure that you know when those videos are released. But anyway, they go on to talk about out of the money and in the money contracts and bullish and bearish sentiment. And a lot of this I talk about in some of my videos, but I'm going to leave the article link in the description below. So make sure you check this article out if you're not familiar with unusual options activity. But overall, the option flow today was generally bearish on Palantir. So this was the bad news article. Let's take a look at the good news article. And this was also from Yahoo Finance, but it's a Motley Fool article. And this article is titled 3 New Catalysts for Palantir's High-Flying Stocks. So this article identified 3 things that are basically, it thinks could be good news for Palantir. The first one is the 3-year contract that is signed with the FDA, which we knew about. The second one was the continuation of the multi-year Army contract, which I also talked about in an earlier video. And lastly, the new contract with the UK's National Health Service. So all 3 of these things I have talked about in prior videos. So this is more of a summary article if you were to kind of looking for some good news as to why you think Palantir may continue going up. I'm not so sure. I did look at the technical analysis charts on Palantir. Let's take a look at it. Let's do some updated technical analysis to see why I think Palantir is going to be bearish. There's multiple signals, not just from the technical side, but also from the fundamental and, like I said, the option flow side. So let's take a look at that right now. So here's the trading view graph on Palantir. If you're new to the channel, I like to keep things simple. So I have the orange line, which is the 21-day moving average, the pink line, which is the 50-day moving average. I have Fibonacci retracements that I drew in the background here, these different colored rows. I have volume bars to see how much volume every day was traded, and the RSI at the bottom. Now, if you saw my video from yesterday, this is where we traded yesterday. We had a big red candle, and we closed pretty much right on this area of support that I drew in the mid $25 range. And I said, you know, I'm kind of 50-50 split. Either Palantir is going to bounce off this area of support and go up, or it's going to continue down and break down below that area of support, which is now going to become resistance, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. Well, it looks like Palantir made its decision today because we had another red day down almost another 4%, and it looks like we continue to sell off. So I'm going to move this arrow down here. Now, the next question we have to ask ourselves is my next area of support is about $24.50. It's where I saw support. It's also right where the 38.2% Fibonacci level is. So we haven't quite gotten there yet. What I'm going to look to see is, are we going to have another red day on Palantir tomorrow until we get to this area of support? And then are we going to bounce off that level of support? Or are we going to continue breaking through that and keep going down further? If we break down below it, the next area of support is at about $21, which also lines up with the 50% Fibonacci level. So that's what I'm looking for right now. If that breaks and this breaks as well, the next area of support is going to be the 50-day moving average, which right now is at about high 19, probably around $20 by the time we get there, if we get there. RSI doesn't really help us much. It's right smack dab in the middle, so not really overbought, not really oversold. But take a look at Palantir. We've had now 5 red days in a row ever since we kind of broke out of this wedge pattern. I'm not really liking what I'm seeing right now. My prediction is that we will continue selling off. We'll get down to at least $24.50 or so tomorrow, maybe even below that. We'll have to see where we close. And then again, this is a short trading week, so Thursday is the last day of trading this week. We'll have to wait and see what happens going into the long 3-day weekend. But right now, I think the option flow data was bearish, which I will show you in just a second. The technical analysis, I think we're going to have another red day tomorrow, so that's looking bearish to me as well. And like I said, there really hasn't been any new catalysts to kind of propel Palantir up. That article that I just showed you was basically just reiterating things that we already knew about Palantir and things that I've covered in prior videos. So let's take a look at the option flow data to see what I'm talking about. So here's the Trade UI platform that I use to get my option flow data. You can see we're looking at Palantir. 38 sweeps came in today on Palantir. 13 of those were calls, 25 were puts. So there were more put orders that came in than call orders, which is not a good sign. If I scroll down, every red box represent a put option that was bought. The green boxes represent call options that were bought. So if I scroll, you can see there's way more red than there is green, which goes in line with that bearish sentiment article that I saw. Now, we can look at the values of each position. You can see some of these are big money. Like this one is $265,000 worth of options. And this was a put for February of 2021 for the $27 strike. Some other big money options. Here's one for $119,000. This one was a call for $40. However, this is a leap option. It's for January 2022. This is for over a year away from now. So somebody is betting that Palantir will have a big year and maybe get up to or over $40 by not January 2021, but January 2022. Some other big option orders we can see. Here's one for $310,000, which is another put option for 25 strike in May of next year. So I'm not liking what I'm seeing right now in the option flows. So just to recap, option flow was bearish today. The TA looks bearish today. No good news articles or good news in general on Palantir that I saw, which to me is neutral to bearish. So if you have shares or options open right now, let me know what your plan is. Let me know if you think I'm wrong or if you agree or disagree with my technical analysis. As always, if you haven't joined our Discord server yet, make sure you get in there. Add me on Twitter, add me on Instagram, follow me on Reddit. I hope you are managing your position well. These are just my opinions. No technical analysis or really anything in the stock market is ever 100% accurate. So always do your own due diligence before making any decisions. And as always, I hope you end up with a green week and happy trading.